If you're familiar with exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, you may have heard the phrase creation and redemption. And while you may know it has something to do with the way ETFs trade, what does creation and redemption really mean? And why should you care? Don't let the phrase creation and redemption confuse you. No, it's not a prison movie narrated by Morgan Freeman. And while it may sound like a complicated process, it's not rocket science or string theory. Believe it or not, the process of creation and redemption really isn't that complicated, and we're here to break it down for you using simple illustrations and a metaphor about flowers. What do flowers have to do with ETFs, you ask? Don't worry, it will all make sense soon enough. First off, it's important to understand that while ETFs trade like stocks, they differ from stocks in important ways. One major difference has to do with supply. Stocks generally have a finite supply available to investors. As a result, large trades may drive up the price of a stock due to a sudden increase in demand. The supply of ETFs, on the other hand, can be increased or decreased based on demand. This unique feature of ETFs provides additional liquidity that can help reduce the impact of large trades. It also means that you can buy or sell an ETF when you want to, usually at a price close to its underlying value. How is that possible? Well, that's the story of creation and redemption. To start, imagine that an individual stock is a flower. Just like companies come in different sectors and sizes, flowers come in all kinds of shapes and colors. Now take a bunch of different flowers and bundle them up according to a specific recipe, aka an index, and you've got yourself an ETF. And the price of an ETF is based on the price of the stocks that make up that ETF. So when the prices of the individual flowers go up, so does the price of the bouquet. And if ETFs are like flower bouquets, then a brokerage firm, the place you buy ETFs from, is just like a flower shop. Now that you understand the connection between flowers and ETFs, let's begin our story. Chapter 1. The simple scenario. Say an investor wants to buy a bouquet. What does he do? He goes to the flower shop and browses the bouquet menu. There's the Emerging Markets Bouquet, the Clean Energy Bouquet, and the S&P 100 Sweetheart Bouquet. After giving it some thought, the investor decides that he wants to buy one S&P 100 Sweetheart Bouquet. The florist, remember she's the broker-dealer in our story, takes the order. The florist then sends a runner, aka the market maker, out to the stock market, which in our story is the flower market, to fill the order. The market maker finds the S&P 100 bouquet in the market and brings it back to the flower shop. The investor pays the florist and gets the bouquet he wanted. Easy, right? That's the simple scenario. Chapter 2. Creation. But what happens if instead of just one S&P 100 Sweetheart Bouquet, the investor wants 100? Just as before, the florist sends the market maker to the flower market to get 100 bouquets. But there's one small problem. There are only 5 bouquets available. So what's the poor market maker to do? Introducing creation. Thanks to the unique process of ETF creation, more Sweetheart Bouquets can be created to fill the large order. Here's how. It starts with the authorized participant, or AP for short. The AP is the person who watches what's going on in the flower market in order to manage the supply of flowers and bouquets. Since the market maker can't fill his order, he tells the AP that he needs extra bouquets. The AP checks the S&P 100 index to find out exactly which individual flowers make up the S&P 100 bouquet. Then, the market maker gives the AP all the flowers he needs to match the S&P 100 index. Once the AP has everything he needs, he brings those flowers to the bouquet maker workshop. That's iShares. The bouquet makers at iShares take the flowers from the AP and assemble brand new S&P 100 Sweetheart Bouquets. Once the bouquets are finished, that is, once they've bundled the individual stocks, the bouquet makers at iShares give the new bouquets to the AP so he can bring them to the market maker. Now the market maker is able to gather the 100 Sweetheart Bouquets that he needs. He brings them back to the florist, who in turn sells them to the investor at market price. Amazingly, despite the size of the order, the cost of the bouquet stayed approximately the same. And the great part about the whole process is that all of the work that went on behind the scenes happened without any additional effort on the part of the investor. All the investor had to do was place the order, and the creation process kicked in on its own. Chapter 3. Redemption. Let's flip things around now. What happens if the investor wants to get rid of all 100 of his bouquets? Now, I know you can't actually return flowers in the real world, but thankfully, in the ETF metaphor world, you can. So the investor goes to the flower shop and returns 100 bouquets. The florist then sends the market maker to the market to see who wants them. But there's one problem. There's already an adequate supply of bouquets in the market right now. So what's the market maker going to do this time? Introducing redemption. Here's how it works. First, the florist buys back the bouquets from the investor. Then, the market maker takes the bouquets and hands them to the AP. The AP brings the bouquets to the iShares workshop, where they are disassembled into individual stems. When the workers are finished, the AP picks up the individual flowers and brings them back to the market. And just like that, the supply of bouquets is back in line with demand. As with creation, the investor didn't have to worry about all of the work that went on in the background. Redemption happened when it needed to, based on supply and demand. All the investor had to do was return the bouquets and be off on his way. Okay, quick recap. ETFs trade like stocks, with a slight difference. Unlike stocks, the supply of ETFs is flexible. This means that you don't have to be afraid to trade an ETF just because it has low volume. Thanks to the process of creation and redemption, ETFs have an additional source of liquidity. This additional liquidity means that you can buy or sell an ETF when you want to, usually at a price close to the value of the index. And there you have it, the story of creation and redemption. No multivariable equations or complex flow diagrams, just a simple metaphor about flowers. Thanks for watching, and happy trading to you.